Suge Knight said a lot more on the podcast. He said Snoop Dogg has a lot of explaining to do over 2Pac's murder. What does he mean by this? Let's go over the article. Suge Knight has demanded answers from Snoop Dogg over 2Pac's murder, saying his former artist has some explaining to do. In an explosive segment on his podcast, Collect Call, the currently incarcerated founder of Death Row Records, who was in the car with Pac the night he got shot in Las Vegas, questioned Snoop's role in the death of the rap legend. When asked about Diddy's allegations involved in Pac's murder, Knight turned to his attention to Snoop and said he wants a face-to-face talk with his ex-signee who now owns Death Row.
You know, I really, really, really got to have a real conversation with Snoop. And I know I got a bro named Jaime. He said he be talking to Mike. It's like Mike's show. He said Snoop just a prop, basically. But that's another shit. The reason why I got to have a conversation with him about is that I've been doing that young dude a long time. He ain't young no more, but I've been doing it since he was a young man. And I did everything in my power to make sure he kept his freedom.
Murder was the case that they gave me. I'm innocent.
For almost 2 years, Snoop has been out on $1 million bail paid by Death Row Records.
And I knew that Pac did everything right by him by putting him on All Eyes on Me, speaking about him and being real with him. And if it's true what they say, face-to-face is going to be a lot of explaining to do. You know? Because number one, Warren did a thing where he was on the talking, whatever the shit they be doing out there, and he said that Snoop had a radio. He was at Snoop house when the shit happened.
I heard a horn, bing, 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 honking in front of my house. I looked out the house and Snoop was outside in a white motherfucking Rolls Royce. Then he had this the next tail back there. Remember the motherfucker? Yeah. He had the motherfucker could go that whatever it was hitting him all the way from what was going on from Vegas. And then he started getting calls and shit, and they was telling him that 2Pac got shot and this.
Only way you would have a radio if you was at the fight with us and you had a security detail. Now, not having a security detail, what are you doing with the radio? Two, we always go to the fight together. We always go to the club together. Even when they did that half-ass watered-down movie on Pac, and he said, "You gonna be at the fight?" and all that type of shit. So then all of a sudden, Warren says on this thing where they listen to the radio and they hear the gunshots. And basically somebody told them we got them or they got shot or all this shit. So how would you know that? And why would you have a play-by-play on the radio?
I kicked everybody out. Get the fuck out of here, everybody. Get out of here. And he took off. That's when he went to Vegas to go see him. And that's when he went out there when he went to the hospital. But if I wouldn't have talked to him and got him to come over to my house, he probably would have been right there in the car with them.
He said Snoop kicked him out, then he came to the hospital. Snoop never came to the hospital, period.
That's crazy, man. A lot of people online have had a varied opinion when it comes to Snoop Dogg. A lot of people feel like he probably had a role in setting up 2Pac getting killed, but a lot of people feel like that about a lot of different people when it comes to this 2Pac thing, that he had a lot of different enemies, snakes that weren't really supposed to be snakes. These supposed to be people that, you know, looking out for him, and 2Pac loved Snoop, and Snoop didn't really reciprocate that, and a lot of stuff, man. You know, and Suge Knight adding more fuel to this fire, you know, it's gonna make things crazier. And Suge Knight's a smart person. He knows what's out there. He knows what people think in the public, so he's gonna play on that. So, like I said earlier in the podcast, take everything Suge Knight says with a grain of salt, because he is in a position where he needs attention. Because he's locked up. He's going to try to make money off this podcast, maybe grow it, blow it up to the point where, you know, his family's good and he's good while he's still locked up in there. So, you know, he's in a position where he's more desperate. So when somebody's more desperate and needs more attention and needs money, they're going to start saying things that play into the the conspiracies out there. Not to say that Snoop Dogg's innocent. I don't know. We weren't there. None of us were there. The only person alive that knows that what happened that night that Pac got killed is Suge and Keefe D. That's it. Everybody else died during that moment. From the security, besides the witnesses outside that were like, in the car, and those other witnesses that were like on the side of the street, Suge and Keefe D know the most when it comes to Pac's murder. And then, other pieces, you got Diddy that allegedly played a role, blah, blah, blah. A lot of different moving pieces, a lot of conspiracies. This is probably one of the biggest murders that's ever happened where there's so many million conspiracies. So, yeah, just interesting, man. I would pay literal money to have Suge Knight and Snoop Dogg have a conversation. Like, just be there or just listen to it or whatever the case may be. That would be really interesting. So, yeah, we'll keep our eye on this and see if Snoop Dogg responds to this.